Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a good evening. I'd like to first start off by saying thank you to you all for coming tonight. I know a lot of great people in this room that over the years in the sport with my father and I, so just like to give a round of applause for everyone who came. So many of you might know my dad as Scott the Ping Pong Man Price. And tonight I'm very proud to stand here and alongside not only what I would call my father, but also one of my best friends, the best mentor, and the best coach in my life. So thank you, Dad. So to begin, my dad started me off playing table tennis when I was 3 years old, as well as golf. Many of you might ask, how did I stand above the table when I was 3? Well, my dad stood me on top of the table when I was 3 years old. So, through the years, he sat by me at every practice and every tournament in my whole life. So he was always a great support system. And I also had the opportunity to perform about 400 exhibitions in my life. I'm only 22 years old, so quite a bit of traveling since I was very young. One thing I'd like to say about my father is that I would definitely say that he is the type of person that can make anyone fall in love with the sport of table tennis. Whether it be a young or old person, white or black, male or female, rich or poor, I've seen my dad firsthand encourage people all around the world to pick up the paddle and play the sport they love. So I'm very grateful to have seen all of that. Just a quick story. Last summer, I walked into my local table tennis club in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Now, many of you might know Colorado is not really the hotbed of table tennis, not like California, New York. So I walked in one day, I know everybody in the club, except I saw one unfamiliar face, a new guy who walked in. And so I went over and I introduced myself. And he said his name was Bryant, and I said my name was Austin Price. And he had said to me, wow, is your dad Scott Price? And I said, yes. He said, that's unbelievable, because when I was a teenager, your dad was my coach. He had coached me when I was a teenager, and Brian then went on to say he had been in and out of jail. He had been through drug addiction, alcoholism, and just a year before, he had came back to the sport of table tennis, had come back to the sport of table tennis, and saw my dad doing trick shots and cracking jokes. And now Bryant has been sober for 2 years, and he used table tennis as a way to come back into his normal life. So I'd really like to thank my dad for changing some people's lives, just like Bryant. Also, I'd like to talk a little bit about exhibitions with my father. I don't know if any of you have seen his best trick shot, but I think it's his long serve. He goes back about anywhere from 40 to 70 feet from the table, and he can hit a long serve, and I'm still scared of that serve today in our exhibitions that we do. Very, very scared. But he's taught me a lot along the way. I know a lot of trick shots, and I know how to really embarrass my friends, so that's always a really good time. Also, when I was 12 years old, I was chosen as Colorado Male Athlete of the Year. I think there was about 20,000 applicants. So, and I had the opportunity.
I'm sorry, Austin. You were 8.
Oh, I was 8. When I was 8 years old. Yes. Excuse me, Dad. Sorry. I'm getting old. So I had the opportunity to do an exhibition with my father and a man called Rulon Gardner. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. Olympic gold medalist for wrestling. And I'm sure many of you have. So I did an exhibition, and this was at 8 years old, very terrifying for me in front of, it was about 7,000 people. So I was standing in front of 7,000 people at 8 years old, and my dad had said to me, Austin, go back and do the long serve in front of 7,000 people. And I was terrified, but I did it, and I actually made it, surprisingly. But you know, the reason why I'm telling this story is that the lesson that I took from that is that my dad always taught me never to be afraid of losing or winning. And since I was young, you know, most parents, they criticize their children and they tell them, you know, you lost, like you can't lose, you gotta win next time. But my dad, he always told me it's not about winning or losing, it's about how you play the game. And to this day, in golf and table tennis, I still believe that's a really important thing for every athlete. So really, thank you, Dad, for that quote. I know that it's getting late, so I'll try to wrap it up here in a little bit. One more thing I'd like to talk about is through my dad's encouragement and support for me, I was able to meet some very iconic figures in my life, which has been awesome. I met Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was on the Ellen Show when I was very young. I met the Harlem Globetrotters. Who else am I missing? Anna Kournikova. And when I was behind stage on the Ellen Show, I met Jennifer Love Hewitt. Any of you know who that is? But unfortunately, I was too young, and otherwise I would have snagged her number. But maybe I'll get another chance one day. Last thing I want to say here is, you know, I just want to say about my father is that he took a very different path in the sport of table tennis, and he really, to the best of his ability, promoted the sport and really took a lot of people from off the streets and into a sport that they could use to move their life forward. So, you know, I really just want to say, as far as promoting the sport, I'm glad to have been alongside my father and seen incredible things happen to people's lives just with like a little white ball. So it's been awesome. So wrapping up here, I'd like to thank you know, everyone who has been a part of the journey with my father and I along the years. A lot of people in this room too, who I have played a lot of matches with actually and lost at a very young age. But I'd like to thank everyone who has been a part of the journey, and my dad, of course, for being here tonight. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I'd like to pass it off to my father, if he's still there. Dad? Okay. Thank you.